All right, so I appreciate all of you jumping on the call. For those that don't know, my name is Ian Smith. I go by the CLT Mortgage Guy on Instagram. I wanted to host this class here today. This is actually kind of a piggyback from an earlier session I did back in May. But there's just been so much in the terms of AI development and in terms of what it can do that I just genuinely felt like that would be a good topic for this week's call. So I appreciate all of you that are on here and those that are watching on the recording. For anyone that has any questions, you can always reach out. My link tree can be accessed via www.thecltmortgageguy.com. Has all my contact details there. All right, so why AI and why now? So the biggest thing for why AI, and we were just talking about this at the start of the call, is hours back every week. There's so much that you can do, such as listing copy, email drafting, captions that used to take a significant amount of time. You can, you reduce that time savings to minutes from hours. And what that allows you to do is to spend more time doing more purposeful activities with your business. Now, I'm not going to advocate for automating everything and having everything run through AI and have no source of input from you all. But when utilized correctly and utilized to what it's capable of doing, you can get hours back on your week. Now, we've always heard speed wins, and in this business, that is very much the case, right? If you're the last agent to reach out to a potential listing, you're going to be on the back foot, as opposed to maybe the first agent that reached out to a potential listing, and so on and so forth. And so one of the main advantages of utilizing AI is allowing you to scale at speed of your business and to, be more proactive and be more purposeful and more thorough than you ever were before. I think a solo agent right now that's utilizing AI is effectively a full team compared to what used to require a full team. You used to need a marketing specialist. You used to need a copywriter. You used to need an assistant, all that to kind of scale a business really, really big. Now you don't need all of those things. What you need is a flow and an understanding of how to utilize some of the AI models to help replace what used to be required to now not be. And to be honest, and I was sharing that I was kind of an early adopter at this, I I have realized how much more I can scale my business and how much I have been able to trim down activities that used to take a significant amount of time with my usage of AI. So for those who this is the first time you're watching one of my presentations, every single one of these is built with AI. I put a significant amount of input into it, but it does not take a significant amount of my time. I utilize dictation, so I talk to the little AI models on my phone. Instead of me writing it, which can take a lot more time. I'm a fast writer, but I'm a much faster talker. And I can kind of tell it what I need, what I want, what I don't like that it's presented to me, and tweak it. And I'll actually show you guys kind of what I did to build today's model here in today's example. So who is already using it? Pretty much everybody. I think you've seen the news articles of all the kids in schools. They're all cheating. They're all using this to simplify their work. Everyone in the professional industries are utilizing it on some level. You know, they've interacted with AI to some extent. And 68% of agents are using AI in their business, according to a study. 82% of adoption by early 2026 is up from the 68% the year before. So, I mean, that's a huge increase year over year. And 97% of brokerage leaders say their agents are actively using it. So in our landscape, in your landscape on the real estate side, there's a lot of usage. And so it's one of those things where it's important to not get left behind because we're still very early days. You know, everyone might be utilizing it, but maybe not utilizing it to the fullest extent. And that's what I'm hoping that we can kind of get out of today's call. So 68% save at least an hour every week. 68% of people said they save an hour every week by utilizing AI. 34% say that they save 4 hours a week. I would say I'm on this category, the 4 hours a week. I think about how many emails I have to draft, how many text messages I have to send, how many things I need to do communication wise. that used to take a long time. I mean, an email, a well-written email, that takes time. Like you don't want to, just half-ass it, right? So you want to be, respectful to the client and what their needs are and their goals, and you want to answer every question that they had in their email. And to do a proper response, sometimes that just takes, 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on what they've asked. Now, with I can take a question the client has asked of me, and I use, like I said, dictation a lot, and I can tell my little AI bot, whichever one I'm using, what I would like my response to be, and it can draft it. So I went from talk to text to a well-written email. I think if anyone's used Apple or Android for talk to text or talk to text, it doesn't do a great job of grammar, right? There's a lot of missing periods. There's a lot of missing breakdown in the sentences. It's not polished. So being able to utilize AI to kind of just do that quick hits of that, it has cut down the time that I used to spend drafting those responses and generating, actionable emails. And I would say a lot of what I do, in a weekly basis is that. So for me, I'm very much in this 34% category. And I feel like with a lot of the activities that you guys do, you can also be in that versus the 68% only saving an hour. So there's a lot of different AI models out here. And you've probably heard most of the names that I'm going to show, but there's maybe a name or two you haven't heard. So Claude is probably the number one name in the business. And this is going to be my number one. If you don't have AI today, this is the one that you should get pitch because I utilize Claude for a significant amount of what I do, and it's very robust. It is great at deep writing. It's great at drafting, planning. It's good at marketing. It can provide generative marketing materials. It does take a little bit of finagling the first time you start playing around with it, but it has great capabilities in that department. And they even partnered with Canva to create, a little bit more robust abilities to generate that information. So, Mac, I see that you're asking if I'm sharing my screen. Are you guys not able to see my screen right now?
No,
Is it just Mac, or are
I
you
can I
guys?
can see you. I can see
no, we can see him though. He's
you.
sharing his computer screen.
Oh yeah, I cannot see your computer screen.
Okay. Well, this
Now
There
is
we
you
go.
there we go. Okay.
thank
Sorry
you.
about that, guys. All right, so let's go back. All these were statistics that we all talked about. So going back to it, 68% of AI or agents are using AI in the business. They're up to 82% now this year from 68% last year. 97% of brokerage leaders. 34% of people are saying that they save 4 hours a week. 68% are saying they save an hour a week. And now we are caught up to the slides. Thanks again for mentioning that. Let Lisa in here. Okay, so Claude, again, I can't rave about it enough. ChatGPT is probably your second most robust of the AI models. Most of you who have probably experimented with AI probably started with ChatGPT. It's kind of like the band-aid, it's like the brand recognition name of AI. Gemini is relatively new on the scene, but not new in the sense that it just came out. It's just not as established as ChatGPT or Claude, but it is very robust because it is ingrained in the Google ecosystem. DeepSeek is a Chinese AI model that came out last year that was extremely good at all of its benchmarks and metrics. And Kimi is another one that just came out. This is a newcomer that is potentially going to challenge Claude for a lot of what Claude does and does well. And there's a substantial likelihood that this will be something that a lot of people will pivot to. The key is that there's not a one-stop shop for AI, and the people that are utilizing AI in their business, they're utilizing multiple models. So my day-to-day involves Claude. I also can use Gemini. Sometimes I use DeepSeek, and I am experimenting with Kimi. It just came out, so don't have a ton of feedback yet, but I will show you guys a little bit of its interface and why it looks like something that's very promising, for my business. And it's okay to have several different models. Gemini, you almost don't even need to have the paid subscription. I don't have the paid subscription right now. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Claude, I have the pro membership. This is a must if you're going to use Claude. DeepSeek is free. That's one of its advantages right now is that it provides a super robust, has super robust abilities, but it's completely free and has no usage limits. So there's a million different reasons to use each of the different models, and it's okay to use multiple models for multiple different things. So where you're most likely going to see agents using AI in their business, listing copy. This is a no-brainer, right? If you're writing a listing, you want to make sure you've got good grammar, you cover all your bases, it's written well, you might want to keep it a certain length. AI is great for putting in those parameters. And, as long as you're overseeing what it's creating and what it's writing, that what it says is true and whatnot, it's a great thing to do. Nothing wrong with it. Market updates. Again, you've got access to live data with almost all of those AI models. So you can pull the latest and greatest market updates. And you can even say explicitly why you want to pull a market update. What is it about the market that you want to tell your consumers? We talked about client communication. Tricky replies. This is an interesting one. I have, in my early days of using AI, I had some situations where I was like, this is an interesting email. How do I respond? And, it provides great neutral response so that you can keep maybe emotions, if there is such a thing in your situation, out of it. Great for that. Drafts and all the things great for that. Social media content, guys, this is like, if for anyone that's running, Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or insert whatever, social media you're doing, being able to utilize the AI to create some of your Facebook or your content and plan your content and maybe even generate some of the graphics for your content, huge time saver and maybe even a money saver as well. Claude cost me $20 a month. If I were to hire a social media graphic artist, even on a per usage basis, I would spend well over $20 on the first graphic alone, right? I can do, a ton of graphics in a month and stay within my $20. So great for that. Transaction support. So you can create summaries, timelines, checklists, for your business and for your clients to share, so that everyone's kind of in tune with what to expect. And then something that's starting to become a thing is lead follow-up. So I have started experimenting with this in terms of how to look at, my lead base and what I need to say in a given week. I do lead updates Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I do check-ins. So every week I call 3 times a week. Now, sometimes you don't want to always call. Sometimes you want to text. Drafting up text for 20, 30 clients can be extremely tedious. So, using my dictation and, giving the client's first name and having it draft all that stuff so I can just quickly copy and paste or use Dispatch is a great usage for it to save me time and energy. Now, the key, and we're going to go over this in a second when we pull up the AI models, but the key for making sure you have a good, robust AI model that knows you and knows what to do is to set up a project, GPT, or Gem. Now, in my research, it's been a while since I've been using ChatGPT. I realized that they're not running them as GPTs anymore, they're running them as projects. But essentially what it is it's a grouping of things that fall under the same parameters. So like for instance, I have Ian 5.0. Ian 5.0 is specifically there to draft emails to clients. So it's the 5.0 edition. I've updated it 5 times. And in there, I have a custom rules for how I want the tonality to be, what I want it to say, how long I want it to be. I gave it custom writings from my own writing so it can know kind of what my messaging looks like. And then once I save that in a project, I can just open that project up and at any time tell it what I need, and it does everything for me based off what I fed to it. So projects are a great way to kind of go ahead and give you a brand and a voice that's saved and stored so that you don't have to tell the AI every single time what it is that you do, what it is that you're doing, and how you want to do it. It's a much more efficient way. You can also load in your market. So if you want it to know exactly where you live, what your disclaimers are, your formatting rules, that's where you load it up is in the projects. And like I said, we'll walk through that here in a second. So how I use it, I have a lot of different projects. I have newsletters. I have lead follow-up days that's specifically designed to, be as engaging as possible. I've got the CLT Mortgage Guy, which is more of a brand thing. That's just what I've labeled them, but they all have a specific use, and it's all there to make my life easier in the long run. So if you've used the AI, you know that prompts are pretty much everything. So the main things that you need to do when you're writing prompts is to give it a role. So who is the AI? Is it a marketing specialist? Is it a sales specialist? Is it an appraiser? Is it a copywriter? You want to make sure it knows its role. And then you want to be very specific about the task. So if you're writing a listing description, then you got to tell it that. And you got to tell it what you need out of that listing description. Give it the particulars of the home so it doesn't screw it up. Otherwise it's going to look at public data, and the public data may be inaccurate. Tell it what you want out of it. Give it the context. So, your tone and stuff is important. If you have this already saved in your project, then you don't need to do this every time. But if you don't have it saved in the project, you've got to do it. And the first time you write a project, you need to have a good prompt. If you want it back in a specific way, your feedback from whatever it is that you've keyed in a specific way, you've got to ask for it. It's not going to know how to send it back to you until you tell it exactly what to do. Otherwise, you might get an email response back. Like it might generate an email, or it might be a text. So if you're specific about what you need, like maybe it's a listing proposal to a client. If you say, I need a listing proposal to give to a client, it's going to give you a listing proposal versus, something different. So it's very specific when you're prompting, but you got to make sure you give it a role, be specific about the task, give it the context, and ask for the format. So now we're going to go over how I personally use AI, and we are going to get out of here and go into my stack. Actually, I'm going to do one last slide here. So my stack, Claude. I told you guys a million times, Claude is like my #1 recommended. I think it's the most robust, it's the best value for dollar, and you're going to see why in just a second. Gemini is great for a quick search. Free edition is completely fine. DeepSeek right now I have as my Claude backup, and you can kind of see how that works. And then Kimi is something that I'm testing as potentially a Claude replacement, but we shall see. So let's first go to Claude. Let's see what I did for today. So in preparation for our call today, I wanted to just show you kind of a real life example of what can be done. So I said, I'm putting on a workshop today for realtors on using AI for real estate. I would like you to do 2 examples of work that can be done with Claude. First, we live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I gave it the date, and my example realtor name is John Smith. Draft a proposal for a potential seller client at a random address in Charlotte. Let's do some address at 5718 Wedgewood Drive. Create a proposal for that client based on when they bought it, what the sales price could be for that home today, bracket it, and generate the copy to send to the client. Notice I have bad grammar here. That's okay. Bad grammar is fine on AI. It knows how to read in between the lines. Great. Second thing I wanted to do was generate a flyer for John Smith with a random headshot, advertise him at Easy Realty LLC in Charlotte, North Carolina with the number, the email, make it catchy, and end with the times. That was all I did, guys. And it did some searching, and you can see what it searched, and then it gave me a proposal. So the proposal puts real public data so you can show realtors that Claude does the research, not just writing. It says when it was bought per county records. Always verify this. And they're estimating a price of $565 to $700K. Obviously, that's a big range. You got to provide your own insights as far as the valuation is concerned and what you would recommend to the client. But it can look at the stuff on its own, and it can kind of give this bracketed range. So it's telling us that the client's got this number in equity, and here's some, as is, renovated, whatever valuations, and what the area is doing year over year and average time on market. So then it decided it's going to write a copy for the client. So it created an email. It says, "Hi, client name. I put together a no obligation look at where your home at 5718 Wedgwood Drive stands in today's market." It broke down these metrics, put up a whole email, and then it's basically ready for you to just fill in a couple blanks and send. It also did a text message as well, right? And it gave also a flyer, as you can see over here. And now this one has some HTML code, so I wouldn't recommend that because it's like got the moving bits and pieces. But just off of this little small prompt that we did up here, it put all of this together. So if you really wanted to spend the time to make your own marketing, you can, and you can have it be uniform for every time you want to generate something like this. It will just kind of fill in the blanks. And, all we did was create that. Now, I am a big believer in Claude right now, and just to kind of give you some color as to what else I've used it for, we have a really cool new program at Rate that does down payment assistance plus additional funds to the clients, but it has some requirements for it. So, just to make my life easier, I decided to build out the requirements within this little field thing. So I created yes, no boxes and everything off some prompts. I know this is a little bit more in depth and probably not what you guys will use it for, but anything that you feel like the AI can do, at least ask and try to build it out. So this for me was just a way to screen potential clients for the eligibility of this product. And at the very end, it tells me if they're good or not. It gives me checks or X's. And so I was using it for that this week just to kind of see something. And then, as I told you guys, I use Claude to build out these presentations every week. So I built out the thumbnail with Claude. It built this thumbnail for me. It built a lot of copy. And all I did was feed it some information. So I said I'm going to do my weekly newsletter that goes out on Fridays. I told it what I needed out of the newsletter. I put all the market data that came out, everything that it needed to generate. And that newsletter that you guys get sent from me, that was from Claude. It helped me write it significantly with what I put in. And then I asked it to build out my presentation, build out the thumbnail. Everything here came from Claude. So as you can imagine, I'm a pretty big fan of its versatility and what it can do. Any questions about Claude right now?
Do they offer free?
Claude does offer free, but to be honest, if you really want to get like an actual productivity out of Claude, you really got to pay. Unfortunately, all the AI models use usage limits. So
Right.
usage right here. You can see today I've used 33% of my current session limit, and this week I'm on 10% of my weekly limit. You guys on a pro model probably will never run into your limits. I'm just a real power user of it. But the free has a much tighter restriction on usage, and so you can only use it so much before it says you need to upgrade. But it does have a free model. Now, Gemini is Google's AI platform, and it's really great because it's integrated with Google services, and because it's linked to the internet, a little bit more granularly to the Google system, you can get some more information that maybe you wouldn't be able to get with the other AI models. Now, I'll be honest, I don't use Gemini a tremendous amount. I use it a little bit less for work and a little bit more for personal. But it does have a value. So in this particular case, I said, I'm a real estate agent in Charlotte. Give me the latest marketing trends in Charlotte for real estate, given that then it's mid-August 2026. I work with both buyers and sellers, be as thorough as possible, and even let me know some creative ways to use this info. So it gave me median sales, active inventory, days on market, sales to list ratio, and price cuts. And it gave me all the metrics on those. Even tells me what that means. Then it gave me some guidance from shallow shift to frenzy to precision. So this tells me if I'm a listing agent, I want to price my home competitively, because if I price my home to reach for the stars, I may sit pretty hefty on market and may not sell the home for top dollar for my clients. That's its guidance that it's giving. It's also talking about some of the leverage from a buyer's side. Obviously house dependent, but what we are actively seeing in real life. And then it says some creative ways to use this data. Buy down flyers, cost of weighting analysis, pre-listing fix versus credit audits, sub-market breakdown videos, and it even asks for a couple more things that it could do for us if we wanted it to. Now you can always piggyback and say expand on this more, provide some creative marketing ideas, whatever. But this is just one of the many ways you can use Gemini, and this is free. I don't pay for the Gemini access. This is the free Gemini, and it works just fine.
And on those market metrics, does it tell you where it sources that data from?
Yeah, it usually does somewhere in the
Because I'm kind of a stickler about integrity when it comes to data. And I I'm just kind of wondering. I'm like, wow, I'm sure it's taking data from everywhere, and that could be, obviously good and bad.
the key for utilizing information that's produced by a AI model is to make sure it's accurate. So that's on you to make sure that the source that you're pulling from is there and is a good source of information. So in this particular case, usually it does provide the actually, I think this is where I got it. Kinger Conyers. So whatever this link takes us to, this is where I got that information. So it's important for you to cross-reference this information because this looks like a specific real estate firm that provided this data, just to make sure that it's accurate or at least you're comfortable with it. So that's a great question. And also, one of the many ways that you can get yourself into trouble with AI is not making sure that the information that's put out is actually accurate. So, great question, but you can always ask it to give you the source. And if you don't like the sources, you can ask for other sources that may be a little bit better. And you can even name them. So, great question. Now, DeepSeek is a Chinese AI model. So I'll preface with the fact that the Chinese AI models are a little bit of a controversial topic. Because it's a Chinese AI model, there is a significant public opinion of lack of trust. Now, the AI models themselves use the same information that Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini all pull their information from. Where the trust comes from is who has access to what you're feeding into it, right? So I always tell people who are new to the AI business, do not put personal details that are not public record into AI models. So people's names, with property addresses and stuff is typically a public information. Phone numbers is not, right? Don't put phone numbers, don't put date of birth, don't put anyone's private information in here. If you're utilizing these AI models, and this is not just DeepSeek, this is not just the Chinese stuff. If you're using AI as a whole, it's best not to feed in information that it doesn't already have the ability to pull up. So whenever you're feeding information into it, be cognizant of that because you got to be respectful of people's information. DeepSeek is probably the most robust of the Chinese AI models right now. And the reason why I like it is because I hit my usage limits a lot on Claude. And I rely very heavily on drafting and all sorts of stuff to make my day quicker. And when I run out of usage, like whenever I do my newsletters and my PowerPoints and I put everything together in one day, I blow through my session limit. So I can't use Claude for, until that session is back, or the next session starts. So I pivot to DeepSeek to help me with my drafting. And, it's no personal information, but it's great at responses. And I'm actually going to show you something that I pulled with DeepSeek a little bit later. But this is just a backup that I use for Claude. It's free. There's no cost to it, and that is one of the main advantages is that I can do everything that Claude can do other than the marketing graphics, but it's free. There's no session limits. There's no $20 a month, and it's one of the main reasons that it's picked up significantly here in the United States. And it's been on the market, I think, for about a year now, and it's particularly blown up. It's sometime over the winter season of last year.
Ask,
Any questions?
yeah.
Yeah.
This kind of has to go back to earlier when you shared your screen about the you said you have to give it a role. Is that per project or is that just overall?
So you can do it on a per chat basis, right? So if you want to just
Oh, okay. Okay.
spend the time saying hello, I am a realtor, I am in Charlotte. If you want to do that on every single message, you can. But what's much better is to go to projects. And let me actually go show you that real quick before we move on to the next. So projects. I created Ian 5.0. Monday, Wednesday, Friday lead follow-ups. Loan presentation tool. Agent prospecting research. Realtor AI assistant. This is one I actually built for the first AI model presentation I ever did. This is my business, so this is less about clients and more about just macro, what I am as a mortgage lender. This is my newsletter that I do every week. So it's got saved information here that helps with making sure that it's consistent messaging. So, like when you create a project, you put instructions. And trust me, I did not write all this myself. I use AI to create the formatting and everything, and it took some time. Projects are something that the more time you spend, the less time you spend. So you spend a lot of time up front creating a good project, and you put good instructions. And as you can see, I just have all these different things that I've been doing with it, and it just makes my life significantly A, quicker, but B, easier. So you can, on a per chat basis, tell it exactly what you need to do. But if you create a project and it already knows what you are, all you got to do is open that project and just start a chat and say, "It's a new week. Here's the clients I need to follow up with. Help draft me some messaging that's unique to each. Give me that, and then copy paste whatever you need to do to send it out." Um, but projects are the key. Once you have a pro account with Claude and ChatGPT, you can use projects.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Kimi is the one that I'm experimenting with. This is the latest big news model out there. And you're probably like, Ian, this is overwhelming. There's too many models. Why do you need so many? Well, they all kind of do a little something different. And one of the things that excites me about Kimi is that it has a more native PowerPoint feature. So like these are very pretty PowerPoints, and once I get access, there's a wait list right now, but once I get access to their pro model, I'll be able to experiment with this a lot more. But I'm curious if this will make my weekly presentations look nicer, right? Because that helps me and that helps you guys and everyone else that's involved with it. And so I'm just curious because this could help improve the overall experience, and it may be better than Claude at doing slides. And like for instance, it's got websites as a native thing. So if you want to build out a website, a lot of people go to places like Wix and they just rely on their agent website that's provided by your firm. If you want to have another one and you want it to look good, Kimi may be a really great place to build it, right? And you can see that it has all these different style designs, and of course you can tell it what you want, describe your site, and it can theoretically build it for you. So I'm not utilizing this at its fullest extent right now because I'm on the free. But when I do get my access to the paid model, I will be playing around with this and seeing if it provides value because I think from what I've read, it will. And so that's for me why I put that on today's list because it's something to look out for. Now, most of you all coming to today's call, you probably utilize ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT is like I said, it's the band-aid of the AI business. It's synonymous with AI. And so you're probably most familiar with this look. They have projects now. So if you want to create a project, you put in its name, you create here, we can just realtor, create project, and then you can go ahead and tell it what you need to do, and then you can put sources. So if you want to drag in attachments, all the things, you can do all that, and it's all under one little file. And that makes it easy to go back and quickly piggyback off of things that you've already built out, so that you can keep things synonymous and easier. But ChatGPT is really good at doing most things, and so if you're already used to ChatGPT and you don't want to change, then you don't need to necessarily go to Claude. You can stick with ChatGPT if it's something that you're familiar with. It does more or less the same thing. They're the most synonymous of the two models that we've discussed. Today, I decided that to prepare for today's call, I wanted to create a little prompt. I said, "You're an expert in real estate marketing slash sales. If I'm a real estate agent in 2026 in Charlotte, North Carolina, what should I be doing to get more leads starting tomorrow? Map out a 5-step plan that's easy to implement and be consistent." So remember, when we're prompting, we're telling it what it is, we're telling it the context. So I'm a real estate agent in the month of August 2026 in Charlotte and what I need from it. And then you tell it exactly what you want from it. So for me, I want a 5-step plan. So with that very simple prompt, it brought out all of this information and it gave me ways to keep on track. So to have action items, give me some rules, all that from that very short prompt. And so the main purpose of showing you this is not to specifically give you guys this prompt and tell you this is going to make you all the money in the world. It's to show you that with very little input, you can get a lot of output. And that's the true value of the AI models that we have today. So going back to the slideshow. So we just tested all that together. We tested Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, Kimi, Moonshot. Remember, not every single one needs to be used exclusively. It's not cheating on one to use another. It's utilizing the different opportunities that provide themselves within each. My use cases are different than yours. So you may not have a need to use Kimi. You may not have a need to use DeepSeek because you may not use your usage limits in Claude or ChatGPT, so you may never need a backup, right? My use cases are unique to me and yours will be unique to you. So as you're exploring in this business in the AI space, you'll figure out what you need and then you might find a model that can maybe provide something more valuable than maybe ChatGPT or Claude to kind of assist with what you're trying to do. So one last thing I wanted to cover today, and this is something that came to my attention relatively quickly or relatively recently, is your name online. So it became apparent to me that SEO is changing. So for those that don't know what SEO is, that's search engine optimization. It used to just be if you paid for your spot in Google, you had a better ranking system. Also, if you were posting blogs and things like that, you would have a better ranking system. The landscape has changed a little bit. SEO is still a thing, but AI search is another thing. So what I realized is that maybe I want to share a journey that I'm starting to undertake because I have realized that my online presence is not spectacular, right? And what I mean is when you Google yourself, what pops up? How much pops up? I want to be someone that pops up very high because if someone asks AI, give me some trusted loan officers in Charlotte, North Carolina, I want to make sure I exist in that sphere, right? So I started to go down this rabbit hole of what do I need to do? So the very first step, and I have this, but I have to re-verify it because of Google rules when I switch my companies, is to claim and complete your Google business profile. If any of you do not have a Google business profile, you should definitely have one. It will help you rank on Google, and you can utilize AI, why I decided to bring this up today, to help you build it out. You want to make sure that you're using a synchronous name across your profiles, and you have a main photo that's synced. Because if you're posting in different places, Facebook, Google, Instagram, YouTube, etc., if it's uniform, you will rank better. If you're starting to post and you want to make sure that it helps actually with your rankings, you got to be consistent. Now this says post every week. Whatever your cadence is, just be consistent about it. And make sure that wherever your market is, you're mentioning it. So like, for example, my Instagram profile, guys, is the CLT Mortgage Guy, right? I'm in Charlotte, and I make sure that I consistently say that. You know why? Because there is an Ian Smith that's the COO of Lending Tree in Charlotte. So how do I rank higher than a COO of a company that has articles from the New York Times and other things about him? I gotta say Charlotte more than he says Charlotte. So that's what I've been doing. I've been saying Charlotte a million times for the last decade of my online presence, and I rank better than him right now. And it's important that you make sure that you use keywords. Keywords are super important for your ranking system online. Um, and going back to the tie-in between today's call and why I'm bringing this up is AI can map this out for you. So if you want to start a journey of making sure your online presence is optimized, have AI search for you. Go to ChatGPT. Say, hi, I'm Jana Cato. I'm a realtor in my market. Tell me how good my social media presence is, or my online presence is probably the better phrasing. Ask for it to be an expert in SEO and AI search, and let it give you some hints and things that you could personally do based on what it sees on your information online. Another big thing is collecting Google reviews. So, Google reviews, whenever you close a client, it's not asking a lot of them to ask them to rate you, right? It's like if those clients had a good experience, you want them to share that. Tell them that you rely on, referrals and, reviews help enhance the conversion of those referrals. Whatever tag you need to tell them, it's important that you get ranked. Now, I have a unique problem that I've been at a number of mortgage companies, and they always control my rankings. So I have rankings here, rankings here, rankings here. So my big project right now is trying to figure out how to pull all those rankings into the same thing because I'm all over the place. And that leads us into link your profiles together. So having all of your stuff kind of talk to each other, point at different directions. So like, if you have your Google My Business page, we'll also include your Instagram or your Facebook within that. If you have a website, make sure that's included. Have everything kind of talk to each other because that'll help you rank better on Google. There is a prompt that I generated for this, and it says, act as a local SEO expert for real estate. Put your name, that you're an agent, which city you're in, and then put all this information, and then have it run a prompt for you and see what it says. Why this works is it forces your name and city into parts of Google and AI actually read. So it reads your title, it reads your description, and this is what can help you rank in AI. AI is the frontier for how the future generations are going to find the people that they work with. Right now, Google listings still dominate, but that era is going to start changing, and it's going to be more AI focused in the next 3 to 5 years. And I've already seen a handful of that as Google has released Gemini for search. That's still new. That was this year. But you're going to see that more and more and more. So going ahead and getting ahead of all this to go ahead and put yourself out there with your brand will help future-proof you and put you in a better position than everyone else. I can absolutely assure you very few agents are doing this right now. They might be doing a little bit of the classic SEO, but they're not going all in. And they're not utilizing AI for the most part to help them do it either. So if you have time to do this project for the next month or two, I would do it. I looked at for myself what it would take. We're talking a couple days of work to get everything in line. And I just got to budget that time, and that's something I'm actively going to be doing. But before you go, just remember a couple things from today. A small core stack of these tools is what wins. It's very helpful to utilize these tools to get your time back and to spend time doing the things that actually generate money. Calling on your past clients, calling on leads. That's something you can't ask the AI to do, right? And you don't want to ask the AI to do. That's what makes you special, right? You are you, and the AI is AI. AI helps facilitate time. You are still the one that's controlling your business, and you are the business. So getting your time back to do those things, super helpful. And then more than that, utilizing these tools that I've shown you today to boost your presence online will help with your business. If you have a client that referred you to a friend and that friend looks you up, what are they going to find? Are they going to find, for me, they're going to find my example of John Smith, or are they going to see nothing and be like, probably doesn't do a lot of business, probably don't want to work with them. Even if they got a strong referral, I don't want them to feel that way. And we don't have to do a lot of business to have a robust presence. We just need to have a presence. And so owning your name online, that is a big step in, not only your business, but also utilizing AI to its fullest extent, which is more than just drafting emails. So, any question from anybody as far as all the content we covered? I know that was a lot of information.
That was really good. Very informative.
What was your biggest takeaway, Mac? I'm curious.
Um, I think the details and the systemic nature of it. I mean, the process of using AI and the specific things that you put out about where to use it and how to use it.
What's funny about AI is think about it as like, like the stereotypical crazy guy that talks to themselves. You don't have to talk to yourself anymore. You don't have to be the crazy guy. You can just tell AI, hey, I've got these ideas in my mind. Tell me what's a good idea. What can you do to expand on that idea and whatever. And the beauty of it is it works, right? So, I have been that crazy guy where I had like something in my mind and I was thinking about it really, really hard in an afternoon. And I was like, why am I thinking about this by myself? Let me bounce this off the AI and just kind of see what it thinks of the idea. And some of the ideas I've thrown in there are terrible. It told me that. It literally said this is not a good idea. And other ideas it said you should look into this more and here's what you should do to do that. So I think, for you, I know you said you were loosely using AI before, you know, try to explore more. See what might work for you, what options with the different models might be a benefit to your business, so on and so forth. Um, Ashley, I see your message here. Can you get a copy of the recording? Yes, I'll be. The recording will be saved. It usually takes me a couple hours to get it up, maybe tomorrow, depending on my afternoon, but you'll have it by tomorrow, no later.
And where do we go to get that?
So my link tree has a copy of all of my links that I always post. So I have a number of videos in there. I'm gonna post it here real quick in our chat window, um, wherever that went. So if you click on this, it has every link. It's got the links to my website, the links to my email, phone number. There's a couple informative stuff on there, but then also every YouTube video that I've done gets posted there. Yeah. Jaina, Koya, Lisa, Ashley, any questions that you have before everyone runs?
With Claude, I downloaded it while we were on here. Does it freeze up a lot? Because it's not letting me get my prompt. It's saying like it's reached its max or something.
That's probably, did it say max usage by chance?
It says, let's see, this message was sent, refresh. Um, it said like a lot of people were on it or something.
Yeah, when you're on the free version, you don't get a priority slot. So if it's a particularly busy time, like there's a lot of people utilizing it at the same time, then unfortunately that's just what you have to deal with. So I can't remember who asked it earlier, but someone asked about the free version of Claude. I don't recommend it. If you're going to use Claude, pay the $20 a month and get priority access plus the ability to generate graphics and all the things. Um, I know it sounds like just another subscription on top of all the things that you as a realtor have to have subscriptions for, but I promise you, you will find value out of it for sure. Either that or ChatGPT, one of the two. They're both the same cost. You
Well,
will find the value.
I use ChatGPT Pro now, but I like Claude because you said the graphics. ChatGPT does terrible with graphics from my
Yeah,
experience.
ChatGPT graphics work, but you have to do so much prompting to get them to where
Yeah.
you want it to be. Like, why I pivoted to Claude as my main powerhouse was because of that. Like, Claude does such a good job with email writing already, so that was already kind of a reason enough. But then they did the graphic update, and I was like, you know what? This just makes my life so much easier. I just have to do so much less than I did before. Um, so
Mm,
that's why I pivoted. So I don't have an active ChatGPT Pro subscription right now. I just have a Claude, and that wasn't always the case.
okay, yeah, that was my biggest takeaway. So thank you for putting me onto that.
For sure, for sure. I'm glad to help. Um, Let's see. Jada said she's good. Ashley, Lisa, anything before we run?
I'm all good. Thank you so much. I look forward to watching the whole thing.
Awesome. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining.
I'm good too. That's the difference. I wanted to ask you about the Claude and the Chat GPT, but I get it. It's the graphics. So that's what I was wondering because I haven't got I'm gonna go to the paid version. And so I'm just trying to decipher which one to go with.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing that will probably be the Achilles heel of Claude is if they nerf the usages. There was they have messed with it a couple times over the last couple months, but the public feedback was pretty like don't do that. So as long as they keep things fluid with where they're at now or make it better, I think you guys will love it. So. Definitely check it out. And if you have any questions, you can always text me. I've been through Claude for I think a year and a half now, and I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but I absolutely utilize it probably more than most people do.
Yeah, I have a question about ranking because I googled your name and yeah, you come up pretty fast. So I'll email you about that.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Happy to help there.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, listen, everyone, I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday. Good luck with the rest of the work week. All my contact details are in the link tree, so if there's anything any of y'all need, definitely don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ian.